What's up, YouTube? Hey, how's it going? My name's Nate. This is Nate Night Talks Reacts, where I react to anything reaction worthy on the internet. Oh boy, do we have a doozy today. Oliver Anthony's It's a Pleasure to Meet You, Part 2. Let's get into this. As some of you may know, this is a part of the video where I normally react to the comments from the previous reaction video I did. However, we're going to forego that one today.
No! God, please, no! No!
This is a spur of the moment reaction. This just dropped. I had to react to it. It is absolutely incredible. I will save the comment reactions for my next reaction video. That's a whole lot of reactions going on, which will be Tom MacDonald's new song that just dropped. So stay tuned for that. However, we're just going to dive right into this bad boy, and I may get my first video under 20 minutes.
You sure about that?
But yeah, I'm just rolling with it right now. You don't even want to know the 24 hours I just had. Insane. Not much sleep, but we're gonna keep going with it because this definitely needs to be seen. Let's dive right in, shall we? Oliver Anthony, It's a Pleasure to Meet You, Part 2. Let's hear what he has to say, shall we?
A lot's changed since the last time I sat here and spoke to you. My friends and family have asked me how I'm doing. Everybody is wondering if I've lost my sanity yet, and I'm surprisingly calm and at peace.
Quick comment, surprisingly calm and at peace. That is how you know you are doing the right thing. When you are staying true to your soul, yourself, and your higher calling, you get peace. It's only when you are departing from the thing that you should be doing and you know you should be doing that you have turmoil and unease. And so the very fact that he said that right off the bat tells you he is exactly where he is supposed to be right now and doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing.
I don't even know what to say, but I feel thankful to be given this opportunity. The music side is exciting, and all the Billboard, iTunes charts and all that crap, that's great. But what's
Billboard, iTunes, all of that crap, once again, shows you exactly where his heart is. Most people in any type of entertainment industry would kill for that notoriety and that type of success. And he's already referring to it as crap, the things which people idolize and worship and sell their soul to get. He has gotten without even trying and is already discarding it as crap. Obviously, he's human. I know he appreciates it, and it has to be very fulfilling and rewarding for him, and it is much deserved. But that is the type of frame of mind, that is the type of reaction you want to see in any type of a leader or somebody who is coming forth and being authentic and real. This shows, once again, his heart is in the right place.
the exciting part's been the conversations I've had with people and the things I've learned just in a couple weeks about the human spirit and about all sorts of other things, the music industry and how dirty everything is. Like it's worse than you think.
I will attest to that. I have been an actor and working in the entertainment industry for about 15 years or so. There's a lot going on and a lot of truth to that. Especially, I would say, I don't know, I bet it's been going on the whole time, actually. It's just being made known to people more than ever, mainly because of access to things like social media and people being able to get an inside peek more at what's really going on, where before it was all kind of an illusion and these actors and musicians were put on a pedestal. You didn't have access to them. You didn't have the ability to hear their every damn thought all the time. And now you can, and kind of the, I don't know, the fantasy, if you will, about it, or the mystique is gone. And the general public has way more of a glimpse inside that world and inside many of those people. And it's kind of disillusioned many as a result. But everything he's saying about that is true. And I got stories.
So I don't know what the future looks like for me. I'm not really too concerned about the future. I'm living in the present, and I just have to have the discernment to make the right decisions from here on out. Because
I'm sorry. Everything he is saying shows how wise he is beyond his years. Asking for discernment. That is one of the most, if you were to prioritize the things that you could ever ask for, whatever your higher power is, or just if you're wishing to Santa Claus, whatever it is you're asking for, discernment should be atop that list. Because if you're not a discerning person, you will be led astray very easily, especially if you reach any form of fame or notoriety. There's going to be a million people who are going to pull you in every different direction, who claim that they have the right answer and this is what you should do. And none of them do. It's one thing in Hollywood that is very real. Nobody knows anything. They pretend. And then when something strikes and resonates with people, everybody piggybacks on that and does the exact same things and beats that idea or concept to death. But once they figure it out, they act as if, they're the greatest geniuses in the world, but they have no idea. They're constantly just throwing up against a wall and seeing what sticks in many regards. And so the fact that that is his priority, I just want discernment to know what to do and what path to follow, especially as now his whole life has changed and is going to change, and people are going to want a piece of him, as we all do. We're all intrigued to hear what he has to say next, because he's moved everybody who's paying attention in such a profound way. And so that just huge right off the bat. I mean, God, legend.
I think about that guy who was sitting here a few weeks ago talking to you, and the most important thing to me is not leaving him behind.
Don't forget yourself. Stay true.
I don't want to go on some roller coaster ride and come off a different person.
That will happen.
If there is anything for me to address at all with you, it's that it's.
I just say this, how refreshing all of this is, not just his music. Dude is sitting in what looks like a beat up pickup truck in the middle of a storm. It's just raining. There's no sound design. There's no mics. There's no professional setup that makes you think all of this is just staged whenever you see it from, another famous person or politician or whatever. Dude is just bearing his soul in a beat up pickup truck to millions of people who now want to hear what he has to say, and no glitz and glam, just straight up realness and truth. I love it. I mean, it's messing with my audio, but I can bear with it.
The one thing that has bothered me is seeing people wrap politics up into this. I'm disappointed to see, it's aggravating seeing people on conservative news try to identify with me like I'm one of them.
Ooh, throw in the bows to all of these people trying to claim him who are a part of the problem. Amazing. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. His message is very clear for people paying attention. It is the system itself and those people in power and the people above them who people don't realize are truly in power, who he is singing about and raising awareness against, basically. And for these people to now try to piggyback on him, ride his coattails, and pretend like, yeah, one of us, straight calling it out right off the bat. And I love this, especially just because we already know that the left media has already framed him as some right-wing anthem trumper, whatever they're throwing out there right off the bat. And here he is telling you the truth. Beautiful.
It's aggravating seeing certain musicians and politicians act like we're buddies and act like we're fighting the same struggle here, like that we're trying to present the same message.
You're not.
I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've tried to be polite to everybody, and I've talked to hundreds of people the last 2 weeks. But it seems like certain people want to just ride the attention of this song to maybe make them their own selves relevant, and that's aggravating as hell. The other thing that I find aggravating is, it was funny seeing my song in the It was fun. It was funny seeing it at the presidential debate. Because it's like, I wrote that song about those people, you know? So for them to have to sit there and listen to that cracks me up.
Dude, throwing heat, man. Straight heaters, left and right, just peppering in those jabs. Like, yes, the irony is thick, and everybody else sees it. And, you know, kind of like they say, don't let a good tragedy go to waste type of thing. It's a similar situation here where all of these soulless mother effers are going to ride these coattails and pretend like, yes, you know, because of his accent and how he looks, and he, you know, must be a hunter and he has dogs and, you know, worked a blue collar job. Yeah, he one of us. Like, no, man, no, not at all. And in fact, you're the very people that he's singing against. And so, love it.
But it was funny kind of seeing the response to it. Like, that song has nothing to do with Joe Biden, you know? It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden.
Sorry. Yes, it is so much bigger than Joe Biden or any political figure in general. This is the overarching issue with society in general, is the concentration of absolute power in the hands of the very, very few at the expense of the masses. And even more recklessness with that power and disdain for the people below them in that regard. It's not about Joe Biden, right or left. It is about the very institutions and the system itself. So please let that resonate with you folks out there who are trying to paint him as a conservative or paint this as anything political. Bigger than that.
That song's written about the people on that stage, and a lot more too, not just them, but definitely them. It's cool seeing some of my other music come out, because people are, I guess, starting to appreciate and understand what it is I'm really trying to say. It's hard to get a message out about your political ideology or your belief about the world in 3 minutes and some change. But I do hate to see that song being weaponized.
That's true, which is why there's reactions. We're here to help, Oliver. We're going to expand on everything you're saying. Not that we're necessarily right. We're not inside your head. But that is how raw and authentic he was, is that his message, I think, was very clear. And while, you know, I personally may not have been fully on point maybe with everything that he was saying, it was still my interpretation of it, of course. But I believe at the end of the day that the message was very clear. And yeah, there's only so much you can say in a song, but he said enough that it stirred the conversation globally.
Like, I see the right trying to characterize me as one of their own, and I see the left trying to discredit me, I guess in retaliation.
Yep.
That shit's got to.
Can I just point out, that was immediate too, by the way. The second, like, this song blew up, there's immediate smear campaigns that had to come out. And I think Rolling Stones was one of them, and there's a couple other news outlets, all owned by the exact same people. Once again, massive conglomerates who own all of these. Once again, the illusion of choice, the illusion of diversity in any of this stuff, when it's all controlled by the exact same company, the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, these same people own and control all of these. And that's why the response to this stuff is so uniform across everything. I'm sure you've seen the, let's say, Kaiser advertisements that they've done, the montages and showing, you know, or the disinformation ones where every single local news network was saying the exact same thing. You've seen the montages of them overlapping on each other, showing that the script was the exact same everywhere. That shows you how centralized all power is at the very, very top. But that smear campaign started immediately because anyone paying attention who is in power knew what this song was, perhaps before many other people did, and that is a threat to them. And so they had to get ahead of it and immediately smeared him right off the bat. Let me run it back really quick.
Trying to discredit me, I guess in retaliation. That shit's got to stop. If you watch the response videos on YouTube to this song, it's not conservative people responding to the song. It's not even necessarily Americans responding to the song. I don't know that I've seen anything get such positive response from such a diverse group of people.
Neither have I.
And I think that terrifies the people that I sing about in that song. And they've done everything they can the last 2 weeks to make me look like a fool,
Yeah.
to spin my words, to try to stick me in a political bucket. And they can keep trying, but I'm just going to keep on writing. And I've got a lot of words to put down on paper, and I've got a lot of songs to put the chords, and I don't know what my music career is going to look like. I don't know how many shows I'm going to do and how many tours I'm going to put on, but I am going to stay true to my word. I'm going to write. I'm going to write, produce, and distribute authentic music that represents people and not politics.
And because of that, he will continue to grow. And people aren't stupid, despite what the government and media wants to think and treat us. People know authenticity when they see it, and they know truth because truth is absolute. And if you know, you know, which is why this has resonated. Enough people around the world have woken up to the true nature of things and how the system itself is operated and who operates it. And therefore that truth will transcend. And if he continues to stay loyal, which sounds like he will, that music will continue to resonate and he can be independent and sell more than anybody.
I do feel compelled to address something. Since I have addressed the conservatives, I do need to address the left as well, because they're sending a message out that initial song that sort of shot me up the radar, Richmond North of Richmond, is an attack against the poor. If you listen to my other music, it's obvious that all of my songs that reference class defend the poor. Doggone, it's a good example of that. Needles in the street, folks hardly surviving on sidewalks next to highways full of cars self-driving. The poor keep hurting and the rich keep thriving. It's like, that's what I like to sing about. And, you know, the English language is interpretive, and so I do understand, like, there may be some people who misunderstood my words in Richmond North of Richmond. But I've got to be clear that my message, like with any of my songs, it references the inefficiencies of the government.
Let me just say that has been the main attack that's been leveraged out there, is like punching down. I saw some reaction video other people posted on Instagram, and this guy's reaction is basically focusing in on that one verse, that one line about obese milking welfare, and exclusion of everything else in the broader picture. Basically, like, oh, you should be focusing only on the billionaires and, you know, people in control, blah blah, which he is, and deliberately focused on that line and saying he was punching down. And which, you know, yeah, he's right. Things can be left to interpretation, and we all hear things the way we want to hear them. That's why that little game of telephone you played as a kid, you know, starts with one phrase, and then by the time it makes it all the way around, it's something completely different. That is how our minds work. So yeah, that is a very real factor. But if you listen to everything else that he sang about, and I'm sure the rest of his music, which he was just talking about, which I still need to dive into, it's very clear what he was getting at, and very clear that everything had to do with the system itself and the rich men north of Richmond, and how, you know, the working class and lower class and just everyday people can't even afford to live anymore and are struggling to feed their families. And you have these welfare systems, which, once again, there is a need for them. There's a reason for them. And we all believe in compassion and empathy and taking care of people, right? Nobody's saying that's not how it should be, but that is deliberately what is being twisted and framed, is to make it sound like, you know, he's bashing those people. But in reality, it's not about that. It's about the people who are literally starving, working their, you know, hands to the bone, and still can't make any money. And then you have these programs that are in effect that, you know, should be helping people, but instead are doing things that are putting them in a worse situation, allowing them to eat poison, which is a whole other side of this, as far as, you know, what's in our food and the very food pyramid itself. Oh, I could do a video on that. all paid for and bought off. Obviously, there's a reason why that existed, and the people who lobbied to make that the food pyramid in the first place. But that is just nothing but pure crap that people are eating, which once again is not doing anything to better their situation. In fact, it is doing the opposite. And that is what almost all of these programs are doing. None of them are actually there to encourage, support, and lift up and help people get out of a situation they're in, give them hope, purpose, a trade, education, whatever it is that is needed to, pull themselves out of the situation they're in. It's meant to keep them in that situation. And that is hard to look at sometimes if you are a person who's doing everything you can every single day to provide for your family, and you see these programs being abused or misallocated, and it causing the damage to the people who need it the most, because they're on it for a reason. They need help. And instead of helping them, you are actually hurting them even more. But it's clearly been twisted to make it sound like he's punching down. People hear what they want to hear.
Because of the politicians within it that are engulfed in bribes and extortion, and the words say that there's people on the street with nothing to eat and the obese milking welfare. That references a news article I read earlier this summer that adolescent kids in Richmond are missing meals over the summer because their parents can't afford to feed them, and they're not in school to eat cafeteria lunch. And meanwhile, I think like 30 or 40% of the food bought with welfare or EBT money is in a classification of like snack food and soda. I think 10% spent on soda, and I want to say like 20 or 30% spent on junk food.
There you go.
And that's not the fault of those people.
Yep.
Welfare only makes up a small percentage of our budget. We can fuel a proxy war in a foreign land, but we can't take care of our own. That's all the.
Throwing heat. Oh. We can fuel a proxy war, but we can't feed our own people. Just KO, bro.
Song's trying to say. It's just saying that the government takes people who are needy dependent and makes them needy independent.
Wow, that's good. Good line. Took a second to.
And at some point I will dissect all my lyrics of all my songs if that's what I need to do. 30 some million people understood what I was saying, but it only takes a few to try to derail the train, to try to send out false narratives.
And that is so true. That is so true. And I see it every day, and I know you all do as well. And feel free to leave a comment with some examples of these things. Maybe not. I don't want to get you banned in the comments. But all it takes is a few, and we're seeing that with everything. The silent majority, the mass of people in this country, the vast majority of people who understand things, see things, a certain way, and want certain things in general, which would be the majority of the people that want the same thing, are completely being shelved by a tiny, 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 tiny group of people. And that's by design. Those voices are being elevated by the people in power. And all it takes is, the second anything comes out, and you've seen it, especially over the past 3 years, anything that comes out that threatens that power structure or the narrative is immediately spun, silenced, smeared, whatever it is, even if it's baseless, factless, it doesn't matter, because once it's out, it's out. And for many people, from my last video, if you were watching that one, I talk about how it's baffling how people just do not think critically anymore. They don't think for themselves. They don't read. They don't do any in-depth analysis. They don't look at both sides of the argument. They just take the little sound bite they're given, and then they go regurgitate it all over social media, whatever their tiny circle of influence is, and they perpetuate that lie, that disinformation, whatever it may be. And that's how you can then take something that, is good or true or a legitimate movement, and you can destroy it and upend it and discredit it immediately, and stop its progression. And he called it out. again, perfectly.
And I'm sure there'll be more of that to come. It's
There
like,
will.
it's driving people crazy to see the unity that's come from this, from all walks. This isn't a Republican and Democrat thing. This isn't even
Nope.
a United States thing.
Nope.
Like, this has been a global response. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Go on YouTube and watch all the response videos, you know? And don't shoot the messenger. Like, I'm a nobody. It's my belief that divine intervention has put me in this position in this point in time to get a message across, and that's all there is to it. Like, I'm nobody special. You know, I feel terrible almost that I've been put in this place, because there are a lot of artists and musicians out there that are far more talented, that have put in way more hours than me. Like, I don't deserve to sit in the top 5 places on the iTunes charts.
Yes, you do.
And the truth is, I really could give a shit less about the iTunes charts. What I care about is connecting with people. What I care about is...
Let me just say, the leaders you want in a society are the people who don't want to be leaders. Watch out for the people who desperately seek power. Those are the ones who shouldn't have it. You want people in power who don't want the power to begin with. It's a great indicator itself. And I just love it. He just doesn't care. Doesn't care about any of it. And
I don't know what this country is going to look like in 10 or 20 years if things don't change. I don't know what this world's going to look like. And like, something has to be done about it, you know? There's been too many people die. There's been too many people sacrifice everything they've had. People die before they're even 18, you know? Just for us to all sit here and just do the stupid shit it is that we do every day that keeps us all beat down and divided. Like, that's what I want to see stop.
I don't even know. I feel that in every possible way. And I know you all do too, looking at this, and it does break your heart. It makes you just want to cry when you see everything that is happening, because you just want it to stop. You want people to come together. You see the atrocities that are happening. You see the people being left behind. You see... It's very painful to see what's going on, not just in this country, but in the world in general. And you're bombarded with it every day on the news, because they will use it for their benefit. The fear mongering, the fear porn, I call it. And it breaks your heart. It's enough that, like, you know, it's either we just keep doing the stupid shit that we do every day, like he's saying, that just distracts us or divides us further, because a lot of those things we use to distract us are full of messaging that is meant to be divisive. And some days, you know, you can tell this. It's one of those times where, you know, if you say this stuff out loud, kind of like he is, and it hits you on a rainy day like that, it can just make you cry. It can make you break down, because it is painful. And anybody who has a heart and feels and has empathy sees how heartbreaking it is to see what's going on with people in the world, and in our country, and your next door neighbors, and in your own family even. And yeah.
And I'm going to do everything I can to influence that at all costs, even if it does throw my world upside down. It's well worth it. But for now, I'm hanging in there, and I'm doing what I can. And I really appreciate everybody who's along for the ride. So there's a lot more to come, and I'm excited for it. And I'll see you on the next one.
Well, I ended on a heavier note, but I'll try to elevate it to. I mean, not that we. It's not a good thing to stay in that heavier place because we need to feel. It's very important to feel and feel that pain and feel that that struggle and that hurt. But let me just throw it back to those straight up jabs that he was throwing to all the people, either trying to smear him or twist what he's saying or use him to prop themselves up. And the people in particular are the ones who he was speaking out against, who are a part of that system, who are part of that control mechanism, that manipulation mechanism, who hold all the wealth and all the power and pretend like they are on the side of the people. They're just like Oliver Anthony. Hey, yeah, the struggle is real, isn't it? And I get back in my private jet and do my insider trading. It's hilarious. And the fact that he came right out and called that out, I'm so happy he did. I'm happy he called out the Conservative Party in particular on that. We already know the left. I mean, we knew exactly what their response was going to be. It was like clockwork. But the fact is that, once again, the message I always try to drive home to people is they are owned by the exact same people. Stop picking a side. If you do, you're feeding into it. Don't identify with either side. Identify with truth and empathy and compassion and what's right and taking care of one another and fixing the systemic issues in our country. Stop identifying with one side or the other because they are both the exact same. That is why nothing changes no matter who's in office. They just make you debate and fight over meaningless social issues. Not that they're necessarily meaningless, but in the scheme of things, of what really kind of matter, that are impacting your livelihood and wars and genocide and atrocities around the world and everything else, none of that changes no matter who's in office, because that is what the real power structure wants happening. And so they just divide us amongst ourselves by social issues to make you feel like you have a voice. And I put that person into office. That was my vote that counted. No, it wasn't. And it didn't matter who went in. Nothing changed. And that is what he is talking about. It is the system itself. It is the politicians who are the puppets for the puppet masters above. And stop making it a political thing. Stop making it a right or left thing. Stop identifying with either of those. Just identify with truth and goodness and what's right. And I'm just repeating myself at this point, but what an incredible video. What an incredible response. And I'm so glad he did it because this is what people are saying. And I'm glad he called it right out and did not let his message and his art be hijacked or smeared. And so, dude, once again, hats off. Yeah, look at that. That is an unshowered Nate right there. Anyway, threw this one together last second, so apologize if there's going to be any issues with this, but I had to get this one out right away. What a legend. Protect this man. Thank you so much for checking it out. I don't think I made under 20 minutes again. One day, maybe I will. But for now, much love, peace. Have a great rest of your day.